Okay, so this throws everything off for me. Goodness gracious. Okay, so here we all are. I'm Renee Finnemore, one of your academic advisors. I've been with the online MSW for a little over a year now. Before that, I was a success coach. Adriana, you want to say hi to everybody?
Sure. Hi, I'm Adriana. I have been here since somehow 2016 when I first started. Yeah, it's been a while now. And I am happy to work with my teammate Renee and then the success coaches and Josette.
There we go.
Yeah,
Sure.
go ahead.
I'm Josette. Nice to meet everybody here and see faces because I'm definitely sitting in the office, Lone Ranger right now. Been with UCF going on 2 years full time. Before that, adjunct. And I really enjoy the placement process with upcoming interns for generalist and clinical, and then also teach field courses. So nice to meet you guys.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Fabulous. My name is Renee Montgomery. I am one of the success coaches for the online MSW program. I primarily work with advanced standing students in our online MSW.
Oh, I'm having a hard time.
Me?
I think we lost you, Renee.
You lose me? Hello?
Yeah, we lost your voice there for a bit.
Bueller, can you hear me now? Okay.
Now we can hear you.
Okay, I'll get closer. I don't know how much you missed. So I'm the success coach for the advanced standing students. There we go.
Hi everyone, my name is Saima. I'm a success coach. I work with Renee, and I did help everyone with the traditional track. I've been here just under a year at UCF Online, a couple of years. So nice to meet you guys.
Awesome. Okay, so today we're really going to just kind of focus on areas, just sort of identifying areas where we experience stress, talk about some ways that we can reduce that, look for and be able to identify signs where we might need extra support and where to get it. And then sort of talking about when stress becomes an extenuating circumstance and it's impacting your plan of study. So we'll talk about that a little bit too. So really, we're just trying to give you an overview of strategies and resources. And I really encourage you to, to sort of assess your stress level and the coping strategies that you're using to mitigate that, and to sort of activate and connect with these resources and tools to help as needed. So thinking about stress, right? I mean, we all have it. It's all kinds of things, I mean, you're in a grad program, so that adds a whole nother level when you think about career goals and education and assignments and deadlines and readings, but also it's all those other things, relationships and your job, money management, not getting enough sleep, pandemic, all those things can really be stress at one point or another. Sometimes they cause us more stress than others. And sometimes from day to day, it could really manage. So, but it's manageable if we're resilient. And what I tell people when you're experiencing stress is just sort of imagine the stress as a challenge and then sort of brainstorm what are the things that you can do to overcome that challenge. So when I think about stress, I think of these 5 areas where we can really improve our ability to manage it, right? So, getting rid of the stressor, if that's possible, managing our time, our environment, our attitude, kind of how we think about things, and then resting our minds and bodies. So when we're able to focus on these areas and make some changes, a lot of times that can really go a long way to really helping us to manage stress and also maybe eliminate some of it. So first, getting rid of the stressor, right? Now, this isn't always possible. It's not like you can, no one wants to quit their grad program because they're stressed out about a paper, right? I mean, we're committed to our goals, so we don't want to do that. But oftentimes it's the way we think about the things that are stressing us that can really make a difference. So, um, what I try to focus on is what are the things that I'm experiencing that are in my control, and what are the things that I'm stressing out about that are out of my control. So, um, things that I can manage are, the boundaries and how well I take care of myself, what I say and do, what I'm thinking about things, who I spend time with, what I look at when I'm scrolling social media, and things that I can't control. I mean, so I can't really control when deadlines happen or what other people, I can't change what other people believe necessarily, or how time passes, or how the weather is. But if I think about those things that way, then I don't have to put as much energy into the things that are not in my control, because that that just elevates my stress and increases my worry. And it's sort of, it takes away my ability to appreciate the good things that I have going on, but it also takes my energy away from managing the things that I can't control. So that's how I try to think about that. So, Renee, would you like to talk a little bit about managing time?
Yes, absolutely. So as far as managing your time, this is something that comes up quite often with students in the program, the online MSW program. Again, my focus is usually the advanced standing students, but it's usually something that they bring up often. And even the 3-year part-time students, once you get into field, right, that's another whole aspect of your education that you're now adding in and layering in with your online courses, whatever you have going on in your life. Personally, if you have kids, if you're balancing a job, etc. So I want to take a little bit of time today because a big part of stress can come from um, managing your time and really not being able to manage time effectively, and perhaps getting overwhelmed with everything going on, particularly during a pandemic when that's something like Renee had mentioned, it's outside of our control. It's happening and we have to do the best to adjust to it. So I wanted to take some time today and actually do a little bit of an activity around managing our time. I feel like this activity is a useful tool. If you haven't done this before, maybe you have, moving forward, that if you find yourself in a situation where you're just not quite sure how to delegate your time wisely or what should take priority, maybe prioritizing your tasks to more effectively manage your time, that this may help. So everyone should have received, I believe, Renee, correct me if I'm wrong, in your email for the presentation today, a little worksheet, the calendar. Go ahead and pull up that calendar worksheet. And really all it is a breakdown of Monday through Sunday. And it gives all the times throughout the day. The idea of the exercise with that calendar, what you're going to want to do is go through and think about your entire week. And I would encourage you to break this down per day and as you're going throughout the day, to write down from the first thing when you wake up in the morning, okay, what's going to take my time in the morning? What's your morning routine? Do you have kids to get ready for school? You're getting ready for work maybe, or do you study in the morning? Do you get up and work out in the morning? What is your routine? So the idea is with this calendar exercise, you're taking an inventory of your schedule. It's giving you a snapshot of your entire week, but you go in and you plug in what you do in the morning. Then you plug in, if you have transit time, maybe to work, maybe you're working from home right now, maybe you don't have a job at all, maybe it's all school and other activities. But you want to go through and take a complete inventory of your entire day and allot all your time. You do this Monday through Sunday, so you can really get a good idea of where you're spending your time, and that will give you an idea of what your priorities are. A lot of times when I'm speaking with students, if they're feeling overwhelmed with just so much to do and they just aren't sure where they're going to get the time, doing this exercise and doing the scheduling inventory, giving you that snapshot of realistically what you are actually spending your time on. And then if you notice, for example, let's say Maybe there's a lot of time spent watching TV. That's just one example of many. And if at the same time, maybe if you're having a hard time finding time for your studies or to get homework in by the deadlines, that's a really easy way to look at your schedule and say, okay, instead of maybe watching Netflix for 2 hours, I'll watch it for 30 minutes or an hour, and that will give me an extra hour of study time or time to work on my assignment. And so getting able to have that snapshot in your scheduling inventory and looking through and seeing where you can tweak things, and maybe even knowing, oh, I didn't realize this happens to me. I won't even realize time will have passed. It'll be 3 hours and I would have been in front of the TV, and I'm not even aware of it necessarily that 3 hours have passed. And if I had planned on spending time on my academics or maybe going to work out or something like that, and all of a sudden, now that time's gone, I've utilized it on, I'm just using TV as an example, but watching TV, or it could be reading a book or something like that, then all of a sudden you have to kind of reprioritize your time. So just being able to look to see what you're actually doing every week, and then thinking through your priorities and saying, okay, if I'm spending, my top priorities in the week have been like TV watching, running kids to and from, I'm just using as examples, running kids to and from activities and going to work. And now, okay, I only have like 1 hour I can devote to my studies a couple nights a week. But now you have that inventory. So now reprioritize and say school is a priority. So what would it look like in my calendar now if I move these other areas around and plug in, like I mentioned, like maybe an extra 30 minutes of school or an extra hour of school, something to that effect. So I definitely encourage you to go through the entire week and do that inventory of what you're doing all day, every day for a week. And then you're welcome to follow up with one of your success coaches, either Saima if you're in the 3-year part-time program, or myself if you're in the advanced standing program. What we can do with you then is go through your schedule with you, and like I mentioned, help you reprioritize time to make sure you have enough for your academics. Ideally, for a 3 credit hour class, you're gonna want to allot somewhere between 3 to 9 hours ish. I mean, bare minimum 3 hours is a little bit less, but probably upwards more of 9 hours for a 3 credit hour class roughly, or more. And if you're taking 2 classes, you're going to want a little bit more than that. So you're just going to want to make sure you're structuring enough time in your schedule for your academics based on your course load. And we can definitely help you with that. So if you'd like to schedule a follow-up appointment with either myself or Saima, we'd be happy to walk you through that activity and help create a schedule that will best suit what you need for your academics.
Thanks, Renee. Oh, I accidentally stopped that. So I think too, like, I love this little graphic because it kind of reminds you, like, use time management apps and programs. Like, there's lots of apps, and like, so many people have smartphones, have ways to set reminders on your phone, to give yourself a time limit, or, I used to struggle a lot with, to having to get places at certain times, and I'd be running late. I'd lose track of time, maybe running late. And I started using my phone reminders to give me sort of like a 30-minute warning, like I've got to get going in 30 minutes. So that sort of lets me know, like, oh, this is time to sort of wrap this up and kind of get it to a place where I can leave it so that I can go do the next thing that I need to do. And that certainly helped me to manage my time a lot better. And I think also when you're looking at that, calendar that you're laying out that Renee shared, having like consistent times where like this is when we eat each day, like having those things that you can kind of count on and plan around can also help because, I mean, if you're not eating and you're not drinking and you're not sleeping, those things can definitely impact you as well. So yes. Okay, so Adriana is going to talk to us a little bit about managing our environment.
Sure. So you might have heard that expression that a cluttered desk means a cluttered mind. And for me, that's definitely the case. It might be kind of an oversimplification, but if you think about it, when your environment is disorganized, especially your workspace, your study space, it can really exacerbate the stress that you might already be feeling about the workload, about things going on in your life. So a disorganized space can kind of make it feel like you have more to do than really what's ahead of you. So if you are sitting down to do some homework, but you notice that there's a pile of bills or receipts or things that you need to sort through, your mind is sort of going to be in a lot of different places. So if you can manage your environment, it's going to help you really relieve some of that stress. So some of the ways that you can draw focus back on the things that are really important are one, to make sure that you have a dedicated workspace. So if you live alone, this isn't usually a problem, but if you have roommates or a spouse or kids, it might be difficult to carve out a place that's just yours. But try to do what you can to have your things together in one space and set boundaries so that the others in your household are not disrupting that space when you're in it or when you're not in it. Something else you can do is to set guidelines in home for cleaning your shared spaces. So it's going to be difficult to sit down and do your homework or get in the mind space to work on a paper or do an exam if you know that you have a pile of laundry or if you know that the dishes haven't been done. So a good idea is to set up a schedule with your family or with your roommates about who's going to clean what and when. A tip that I've picked up with having a kid is we set a timer for 10 minutes and everybody in the house has to clean up their area for 10 minutes and do nothing else. And it's kind of silly and it's fun and he thinks it's kind of a joke, but it's kind of amazing what 3 or 4 people can get done in 10 minutes cleaning up. So that's another tip that you might use to clean up your shared spaces and share that responsibility with everyone. You're going to need to let your family and your friends know that you're working towards this program, towards this degree, and you want to make sure that they know what you need from them. Another thing would be at the end of your workday or the end of your school time, unclutter yourself from anything that you did. So put away your papers, put away your writing utensils, clean up your space at the end of the day so that the next day when you return to it or the next time you return to it, you're not going to be overwhelmed by what you need to do before you get started. And managing your attitude. So I love this poster. I actually have it right above my desk, so I see it all the time. The biggest thing is just thinking is automatic. So sometimes we don't even know what's slipping in there. And you might just start to perceive something as being reality when it's not true necessarily. So you might start thinking, oh, I'm never going to finish this class, or it's only 7 weeks. That's not enough time to get things done. You might start being concerned that somebody's getting a higher grade than you, those sort of things. But your outlook on the world and certain situations are really going to make a big difference in how you respond to stress. So it's important to check in with yourself regularly so you can see what thoughts you're having and manage your attitude. And one of the ways to do that is to practice positive self-talk, positive thinking. So you might want to repeat a mantra to yourself. Just like Renee mentioned, there are some things that are in our control and some things that are not in our control. So I can control the way I feel by thinking positive thoughts. That might be something that you say to yourself, or you have a little sticky note somewhere to remind yourself of that. Another thing you might say is, I'm only going to compare myself to my personal best. I'm not going to focus on anyone else. So you want to manage your attitude in thinking about yourself and not about others. Another thing you might do is, whenever a negative thought pops up in your head, like you might say, oh, this is too much to study for, I'm never going to pass this exam. You might want to stop, think about that negative thought, write it down, and think instead, what am I telling myself? How can I give myself a chance to succeed? Instead of just being a defeatist and sort of thinking that nothing matters, nothing's going to happen, this is just the way it is. And then I find that when you encounter one of these negative situations and you have a bad attitude, it's a really like a terrible perfect storm for your stress. So I try to seek out a friend or seek out an advisor or somebody that I respect who can help me see the situation in a different light. So I feel like if you approach a situation with more optimism than pessimism, you're going to find a solution more quickly, but also one that's better for the situation overall.
Okay, thanks, Adriana. One of the things that I always tell people is, like, what would you tell your friend if they were in this same situation? Because sometimes we're so compassionate and encouraging to our friends, but, if we're feeling stressed, sometimes we can get a little harder on ourselves. So, sometimes, that different way of looking at the situation can kind of help us a little bit. So, okay, so now we're going to talk a little bit about resting our minds and bodies. And this is something that I personally struggle with because somehow I have come to feel like, I have to be productive in order to be doing, if I'm doing what I should be doing, I should be productive every day. So, but really taking time to just, be still and allow our bodies and our minds to sort of recover from everything that we've been doing is really important to managing stress. And, I do talk to students a lot about self care. You're getting into a field where you have the risk of burnout. You're going to be spending a lot of your time putting your own personal needs aside in order to be present with your clients and help them and support them. And so that really requires you to be able to identify the things that help you to feel energized and then be able to practice those things regularly so that you can sort of fill up your cup. So, self-care though, I think people they hear self-care and they think about bubble baths and spa days. And self-care is really any of those things that you do to help us feel healthy and live a balanced life. So, there's actually I'm going to put a bunch of resources in the advising portal later. So anything that we're talking about today, like that handout that was emailed to you, but some workshops and some other things, they'll all be in the portal. But there's a self-care wheel that really helps you to sort of look at what does self-care look like across my life if I'm looking at my professional self or my physical well-being or socially or spiritually or even like my emotional or psychological health. What does self-care look like for all those aspects? So it can give you some ideas of things that you should do. And what I tell students is self-care is something that you should be doing every single day, even when you're really busy. This doesn't have to be hours of work. It can be a couple of minutes, just a little something that gives you a little bit of burst of energy and a little bit of fuel. But the trick about it is to really be able to identify the things that work for you, put them on your calendar, and then keep them like you would a doctor's appointment. So they're just as important as all the other priorities that you have. So like when you're working on that schedule that Renee was talking about, finding the time and plugging that in of where you're doing self-care can really help you in terms of your planning and making sure that you have time for that. So and then also UCF actually has a lot of really great resources for students when it comes to stress management. So UCF Wellness and Health Promotion Services, um, they they typically do a lot of face-to-face programs, but they also have some online things that online students can access. So you can find things like guided meditations. They also have some resources and videos on progressive muscle relaxation. Um, if you're someone who gets really nervous about taking tests, they have things for test taking meditations. They have a series on it's a series about being grounded, so it's different activities that you can use, and they have one coming up that's desk yoga, and then some things related to healthy sleep. So, and then there's some other strategies that you can use as well that are much more advanced depending on what you need. So, if you're looking for grounding techniques or breathing techniques, there's some resources there as well. And like I said, all of these will be posted in the portal. So, but to rest your mind and body can really go a long way to kind of letting go of all of the stresses of the day. So, okay, let's see here. Now, Josette is going to talk to us a little bit about when to seek help.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Please let me know if not. I think up to this point, everything has been covered in great detail about when you're starting to notice the stress and some really what's in your control to manage that time and be at ease and self-awareness. And then it leads to when to seek help. when you've tried the time management, or you've tried the desk yoga, right? But you're still having trouble getting through the day, or when some of your coping skills that you've used or tried to use are no longer working. They worked up to a point, but then the stress became additional. It's really starting to affect your performance at school, work, any significant changes in your own behavior. People say, oh, an increase of sleep. Well, for some, it could be a decrease of sleep or increase of eating, decrease of eating. It's really what changed the norm of you to, and how it's affecting you, the stress is affecting you. Major withdrawing from relationships and thoughts of harming yourself or others. And again, I really want to stress this is, we can give points and generalizations, but this is when, you know, you're reaching out to your success coach and maybe they've even noticed some changes. Or when you speak with Renee, maybe they've noticed some changes. Up to this point, your grades have been pretty solid, A's and B's, and then they see a dip. And so it's also being open to others, maybe noticing the changes in you, to, again, individualized. I also want to point out that stress is positive stress too. We talked a lot about some negative stress of what we can control or not, but a promotion at work, maybe a very close family member is getting married and you're in the wedding, or your children are in the wedding, or it's your own child getting married or having a baby, or, you know, very positive, exciting, you know, maybe some events too, that can really impact you and how you manage that stress, because it's still something else additional on your plate that can then still be affecting you in other, you know, ways, may become unhealthy. Which leads to, you know, when to seek help, when to reach out. Well, where do I reach out? We're the professionals that help others, right? Well, even more important to when to get that support for ourselves. And right now we're, you know, working full time, going to school full time, don't have health insurance. Where do I call? I do a minute of time to go see a therapist, because time management's already out the window anyways. I'm still working on that. Or whatever it may be, where sometimes that first step could be reaching out to a crisis line, could be reaching out to 211, which is almost in every state throughout the US, National Suicide Prevention Line, which I'd like to point out, you do not have to be suicidal to use them as a resource. You can be impacted by stress in an unhealthy manner and give them a call. You do not have to be suicidal. I Am Alive. It's also a crisis suicide, but as strictly chat. We provide some additional information. That's about keeping you alive. It's about keeping you, you know, moving to that next step. And then the Trevor Project is also a very, through text and phone, also a great resource to use. These are all free. And I believe all 24 hours, 7 days a week, all year round. Trevor, you know, Trevor did move to 24/7. They used to be just after 3 o'clock, but they had seen such a great increase where they opened their services up. These are sometimes the first step for confidential care until you can get in to see maybe more structured care. A lot of individuals use these resources in between counseling sessions, counseling appointments, or maybe at anniversary times, or during finals, when they need just a little extra support to reach out and talk to somebody too. So please give them a try. if needed.
All right, so you should reach out to your success coach. As a success coach, we're here to support you with everything else other than academics. Now, we can find helpful resources for you, even strategize areas in which you may have. We can help you with time management, so it doesn't have to be just stress. It can be organization skills, study habits, and obviously stress as well. We also do regularly like check-ins, random check-ins.
Hey, Sima, I think we're having a little bit of trouble hearing you.
I'm sorry, can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Okay, so shall I start from the beginning?
Yes, if you would. Thank you.
All right, brilliant. I apologize. So yeah, I was just mentioning about reaching out to your success coach. You know, we're here to support you with everything other than academics. We can help you find resources, strategize areas in which you may have some concerns. We help you with time management, organization skills, even study habits, and find ways to manage your stress levels as well. Now, we do regularly check-ins as well, just to make sure that you are taking care of yourself. We work on self-care strategies as well, and just make sure that you're on your goals. So sometimes you'll make some goals with your success coach as well that you may have for the term or for the year. We'll make sure that you are on target to achieve those goals. And that doesn't have to be academics. It could be just the self-care portion of it as well. Now, here's some resources that we can help manage stress as well that we have at UCF. So there's Student Academic Resource Center. They offer workshops on managing stress around test taking. I think Renee mentioned some of these as well, the wellness wheel, and then managing stress worksheets and things like that as well. And then we have the Wellness and Health Promotion Services. Now, right now, as far as I know, they are actually doing most of their workshops online as well. So they cover topics such as nutrition, body images, sexual awareness, and again, stress management. So that could help you as well. And then there's therapy assisted online, self-guided study, basically. I've actually used some of the videos and then they're very, very helpful for meditation and things like that as well. So they give you strategies on help managing anxiety, depression, substance abuse, and communication as well. So basically they have a huge resource of mindfulness library as well, and they can help you, you know, with those things as well. You can just go online, and like I said, I've used some of those as well. Some of the videos that they have, they're very, very helpful. And you can also have that therapy assisted online as an app as well, so you can take it with you wherever you go. Say you taking a walk in the park or something and you want to do just a 2-minute video or something, so it's really helpful. You can use that as well, but definitely make sure that you do reach out to us. Like I said, we do check in every time I have any resources. You know, I'll reach out and do an email blast as well. I don't know if you received those before, but anytime we can help in any way, we're here basically to support you. So it doesn't have to be just stress, it could be anything else as well. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, I think that okay, so coming up to when stress, you know, becomes extreme. Adriana, did you want to talk about this, or was I going to? I can't remember.
No, we can both jump in. I can do the first couple.
Okay. Sure.
So we really don't suggest taking a break unless there are extenuating circumstances. When you start in the program, you're either in the 3-year track or the 4-semester track of advanced standing, and it's meant for you to follow your cohort from the start until the end of and graduation. But we know that things happen. Extenuating circumstances could be family emergencies, medical issues, having a baby, those sorts of things. When those happen, we can usually assist you if you need to take a break for 1 to 2 semesters. This is during your academic classes. So let's say for your first year of the program or your first semester of the program, if you're in advanced standing, it is difficult and not encouraged at all to take a break during your field placement. Your field placement is 3 consecutive semesters at the same location, the same agency, and that is during your generalist year. And then during your clinical year, it's at another agency for 3 consecutive semesters. If you need to take a break, we suggest you plan it in between that, but I know that that's not always possible. So if you find yourself in these situations, then you need to reach out to an advisor, and typically Renee Finnemore is the one that helps you with planning a break in your plan of study. So, you know, we understand that things happen, but we also need to be mindful of your plan of study. And it's sometimes as easy as putting you right back in the next semester after a break, but sometimes it can result in the need to take a longer leave. So maybe Renee, if you want to jump in for that.
Sure. So sometimes students need to take a break and they might only need a semester or two, but because of their plan of study, and where they're at in the program, they may need to take longer. Or sometimes stress, you know, becomes something else. And so students are seeking medical treatment and they need an extended leave of maybe 3 or more semesters. The university does allow for a special leave of absence up to 6 consecutive semesters. These are really very extenuating circumstances. So we're talking about medical issues, major financial issues, things like that. So that can be something that is an option if you need it. The university handles that much differently than we do in our program with a 1 or 2 semester break. With a special leave of absence, you're required to submit an application to the College of Graduate Studies, and you need to provide documentation showing why you need that break. So if it's related to medical reasons, you'll need a letter from your doctor to take the break, and you'll also need a letter from your doctor in order to return from the break. If it's related to a financial change or other circumstance, you know, you may need to provide additional documentation beyond that. So usually having a conversation with me, I can give you an idea of what they'll be looking for. And I'm always surprised and learn more every time as they ask for more additional documentation that I didn't even know they would want. So we're still learning that process because it happens so rarely that we don't have too many students that have done it. But like I said, it does happen on occasion. So if that's the case, if you're ever thinking that you might need to take a break for extenuating circumstances, you'd want to talk to me or Adriana, and we can kind of guide you through what your best options would be.
And just a note to say that the earlier the better. If you're at the end of your term, the end of the semester, our options are a lot more limited than if you let us know that there's a concern or a reason that you want to take a break towards the beginning of the semester or term.
Great point, Adriana. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing, but we're at the point of Q&A. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask them.
And you can put them in the chat if you don't feel like talking to us. Well, if nobody has any questions, you know, we're all available to you even after this. We'll be sharing this on the advising portal and the Facebook so that everybody gets an opportunity to see it or, you know, review it again. And oh, you're welcome, Catherine. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to your advisors or your success coaches, and we are happy to help.
Thank you everyone for being here today. It was really great to see you all. And thank you to Ms. Von Berglund and Renee Montgomery and Saima for joining us as well. All right, great. Well, have a good day, everybody.
Take care.
Well, have a good day.
Bye.